Good morning, everyone. This morning I'll be presenting the report of my literature review and also my preliminary analysis of the Indonesian DP structure, particularly in number. So we are going to deal with classifier and reduplication and what they mean, in our number system in Indonesian. A little bit of the Indonesian language first. This is taken from Ethnologue of the Summer Institute of Linguistics. Classification, we are a member of Austronesian and Malay language specifically. And then together with the standard Malay spoken in Malaysia, we form up the one family of Malay language. And then this is the most important, so we follow the typology here. We are an SVO language, so it's like English. And preposition and noun head initial, but quantifiers before noun. And then we have three noun classifiers. The main classifiers are three, but then I'll show you later that it's not only three. And then we don't have articles, we don't have the, we don't have and we don't have aspects, and then the rest are philological things which I'm not concerned about for now. And right, so jumping in directly to the number values, and I rely heavily here on mainly Corbett, that's a book on typology of numbering languages of the world, and also the references that are made by Corbett. One of them is by Greenberg, it's very good. And we have the plural, the dual, the trial, the vocal, and greater numbers, and also general numbers later on. Now I'm going to focus more with the plural and later on the greater numbers and the general numbers because they are very salient in this research. The dual trial are not that salient for my research. The vocal basically means a few. So if you have an English word with a few books, something like a few is a vocal. And in some languages it is dedicated. In English it might not be a dedicated number, but in some languages it is a dedicated number. Now the plural. Singular plural opposition is the most basic one, such as on which all systems are built, meaning all languages have it, and all languages have the system of singular plural opposition. Plural is basically more than one real world entity. In semantics, we have reference, I think if I'm not mistaken, and then it refers to a real world entity, so plural basically more than one. And here we have an interesting division of different plural systems in English and in French. In English, something becomes plural after more than one. So you say 1.5 hours, right, in English, but in French, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 1.5 hour. And then when it starts with 2, then you have 2 hours, right? So the plural starts after 2, right? Now this is where Indonesian gets exciting, at least for me, because our plurals like morphological form. So here we have exactly the same expression, 1.5 hour. Basically, it's satu setengah jam, it's 1/2 hour or 1 hour half. The hour never changes, we don't have any morphological changes whatsoever, okay? Right, and then I'm gonna skip dual and go directly to the greater plural here. Now, the greater plural is typically implying an excessive number, sometimes called the abundance of plural, sometimes called the global plural. And here is a language, it's a data from the language Banyun from Sovejo. I think this is from West Africa. And this is very interesting. We have singular here. I think it's Busumal. But basically, we have a singular form, and it's morphologically marked, and plural form, which is morphologically marked by the prefix. And then greater plural 1 there with ba, and then greater plural 2 with t. So what's the difference, right? The first greater plural basically means that the number cannot be counted, or that the speaker feels it is unnecessary to be counted. It's just a lot. And then the second one is basically more than that, so it's just unlimited. Okay, that basically, like universally, there are many things. There are many things, something like that. Now, in Indonesian, do we have this? Yes, we do. And in Indonesian, the plural is normally marked by classifier, which we'll see later on. And the greater plural is by reduplication or by bare noun. That's it, which is shown in the next slide here, which is exactly the same, right? So here we have singular 1, the numeral. The classifier is ekor, which means tail, basically, but tail is always used for animals. And the plural, basically, we have 5, and then the same thing, tail and snake, no morphological change whatsoever. There, we see the first morphological change with reduplication for the greater plural 1. Now the greater plural basically means there are a lot of those. But sometimes we also use the greater plural too. It's basically just snake, a lot of snake. I think I have the sentences here. Yeah, there we go. So here is a sentence using singular, plural, greater plural 1, and later on greater plural 2. Here is the first sentence. Basically means there is a snake in the house. Right? There be 1 classifier, snake in house. Be 5 classifier, snake in house. No morphological change here whatsoever. Here, be in jungle, be many banyak ular-ular reduplication of snake, right? So, and normally in Indonesian, when we use our reduplication, we always have this quantifier like banyak or ribuan, which basically means of the 1,000. So it really implies an excessive number of instances. And here is the greater plural 2 here. That jungle is full of snakes, the jungle of that, full with snake. That's it, just the bare form, okay, which is acceptable. Okay, so normally the reduplication is preceded by quantifiers such as, I forgot to italicize there, banyak and ribuan of thousands. And this data leads to some people to conclude that there is basically no mass count distinction in Indonesian at all, because nouns are originally masked. Because as we can see here, the plural and the singular, they don't have any marking whatsoever. What individualizes them and what makes them countable is just the classifier and the numeral preceding the classifier. Right. And so here we have the, what should I say, the conclusion of the hierarchy based on from Greenberg's universal number 34. So first we have singular in all languages, singular, and then plural, and then we have dual, trial, and then some languages have quadral, and then paucal, or sometimes paucal and quadral can be interchangeable. So basically what it means is no language has a trial number unless it has a dual, and no language has a dual unless it has a plural. But all languages will basically have singular and plural. So it means that dual and trial are more marked, and singular and plural are less marked, and as a universal of languages. Now, the general number, this is the main references there. Basically, a common number form that is, it disregards the distinction between singular and plural. So it's actually very interesting. I wish I had a pen, but
There's a pen on the table.
this.
No.
This one's
There's a container of. Here.
Oh, right. So in some typologists think that the general number is outside the distinction of singular and plural. So here, singular and plural. Right? We have been talking at this level so far, but general is outside of the singular and plural. It's just before it is even individuated, before it is even divided. Okay? So here we have data from Baiso, which is an East African language. Luban here basically means lion, and here you see the general number even preceding the singular, plural, and paucal over there. So here we have a morphological change. In the general one, it's just Luban, basically, I watch lion or lions. And then here we have one lion. There we have a few lions, Lubanda. And there we have many lions with the plural. Okay? In Indonesia, we also will see this, as I will show later, time permits. Here we go. So this is the Indonesian sentence, right? I see lion. Now this is interesting because this can actually mean I see one lion, or I see more than one lion, okay? And so on and so forth. Here we see reduplication between plural, and here we see the singular one. Right, and this is about mass and count distinction. I'm going to skip this for now. Let's go directly to this. Okay, so this is some models of GP structure that I might be using. This is very well known from Borel. So inside DP, according to Borel, we have the D head, and then we have numeral trace, and then numeral head, and then under that we have division trace, and then we have NP down there. Division trace is where number is instantiated, so to say. In Indo-European languages, you have plural morphology with the S, for example, books, tables, like that. So they, Borel proposes that here for Indo-European languages, we have NumP, and then NP and NumP combined together in LF and then pronounced as books later on. But in classifier languages like Chinese or Indonesian, we have CLP, classifier phrase, and we have the classifier here. For example, in Indonesian, we have ekor, or in Chinese, we have ke, san, ke, shu, for example. Sorry for my Chinese. And then it's instantiated there in the F before this pronouncing the F. And this is from Lee, Audrey Lee. This is also interesting. Now, the difference between Audrey Lee's model and Borer's model is that Audrey Lee does not have distribution. I can't remember the name. Complementary distribution between the NumPy and the CLP, because the NumPy is above CLP. But then this can be deleted as necessary. So in Indo-European languages, you just don't have the CLP, just NumPy and then directly to NP. And in classifier languages, you have CLP and NumPy, because in Chinese you need both of them in some instances. Okay. In Indonesian here, for example, 3 classifiers bicycle. This is from Simpson. So I think this is similar to Lee's model as well. So we have NumPy, and num is instantiated as 3 over there, and then the classifier is buah over there, which actually means fruit, and then the bicycle is over here. But some argue that the numeral can actually be the spec of CLP as well. Yes, I know, 1 more minute. And I'm going to skip this as well. I'm just going to go directly to my preliminary analysis. So I'm inclined to believe that the models proposed by Lee and Borer, as we have seen, with some amendments made by Min, unfortunately I couldn't show you this yet, are suitable in investigating Indonesian classifiers. And then also Cheng and Sibesma's structure, also have not been shown, are applicable in Indonesian as well. This is a test bed to see whether Dalrymple and Mofu, they claim that Indonesian does not have mass and count distinction. So it's true or not, and then we use, I use Cheng and Sibesma's model to actually check whether Mofu's assumption is right, or actually we do have mass and count distinction following Cheng and Sibesma. And then this is what I'm looking for. Regarding classifier, I want to investigate Indonesian nominal structure involving classifier.